In retiring, I always said, I want to go back to being an artist. I started with acrylics. And I like doing acrylics. And I started doing collages. I have a piece that I'm working on right now. I can't decide whether I'm going to do it in acrylics or if I'm going to do a collage. But that's where I am right now. I am Yvette Walker Dalton. I'm a Daytonian, and I'm also an artist. I have always been an artist. Even when I was a little child, I was an artist. My parents didn't know that, not until I was 6 years old, and I had to have a visiting nurse. Her name was Maddie Lau. She was the first African-American visiting nurse here in Dayton, Ohio. And she told my mother and father that I think this child has some art skills. And so ever since then, Mother and Dad made sure I had paper, pencils, crayons. I started out being an art teacher. I turned out to be a graphic designer when my youngest daughter was born as a preemie. She weighed 2 pounds, 12 ounces. That meant that when she came home at 5 pounds, somebody had to be there to take care of her, and I could not go back teaching. So I started designing cards for friends. There weren't any black greeting cards that we could go into stores and buy. So I started designing cards, and that just took off. It absolutely took off. We started with Christmas cards, and then we got into the long cards, the funny cards. We used like slogans from Flip Wilson, things that were sort of out there in the 60s and in the early 70s. Then we started designing black greeting cards for Gibson greeting cards. We used all the people that we knew, took pictures, our family, our friends. Those went over very well. Then pretty soon a recession came along, and some of our distributors went bankrupt, and we had to go bankrupt. So that ended the card business. We also did work for Procter & Gamble, things like salesman ads, tear packets, shelf signs. In '76, my husband and I got a divorce. I moved to Lancaster, Ohio, and I was able to work for Anchor Hocking Incorporation and designing glassware for them. One Christmas 1979, the director came in and says, okay, who in this art department is not doing anything for Christmas? And I raised my hand. I said, what is it that you want me to do? And they said, well, Star Wars wants you basically to do a line of glassware for them. And so can you go home and make up some type of sketches for at least 4 glasses? And so they gave me photographs of what they wanted on these particular glasses. They also had me sign a paper saying that I would not tell about Yoda at that particular time that was coming out for the Empire Strikes Back. And so I went home, and that's what I did, and I just loved making those glasses. So that was really a fun job. In the meantime, I'd been going back and forth from Cincinnati to Lancaster, Ohio, because my church was in Cincinnati. The pastor there had been talking to me, how about going into the ministry, Yvette? And I thought he was absolutely crazy, because I had never seen a woman pastor in my entire life. And I said, well, if I'm going into the ministry, I'm not becoming a minister. I'm going to combine my art experience with a theological education. That was my whole reason for going into seminary. My first church was in Louisville, Shawnee Presbyterian Church. They called me to be pastor. It was a great experience being a pastor. I enjoyed working with the people. I enjoyed seeing people grow. I enjoyed working with the children. They became my family, and hopefully I became one of theirs as well. I'm very excited about exhibiting at Grace Methodist Church here in Dayton. These pieces are all pieces I have worked on since retirement. What's next for me? I'm not quite sure. I'm just living in the moment right now. Someone said, "Oh, you're just like Grandma Moses." Well, I know that I'm close to her age. I'm 75, and she basically started at 76. And she painted up until she died, 101. So I don't want to think ahead too far. I still want to deal with where I am right now. It's just absolutely great to think about my next project. And I don't want to get too far ahead of that.